In this appliances and fixtures video, I'll cover the process of placing the items internally or externally to the cabinet, and for those items that are in a cabinet, how to precisely position them. I'll show you the process of locating items in the library and how to download new items from the 3D library, of which some are non-branded, which we refer to as bonus items, while others are branded or manufacturer specific. Let's get started and place the items you see in this particular scene. Now I'm going to begin the process of placing the appliances from the left to the right. Before I get started, let's take a look at the library structure that we have in Chief Architect. I have my library browser open. You can open the library browser by clicking on the button with the set of books. You can also open the library from your View menu. To close your library, you can use the X button. The library is broken up into 4 specific catalogs. You'll find your core catalogs, which are typically downloaded for you as you begin the installation of the program. Bonus catalogs are non-branded. We call them generic catalogs. You can pull those in from the 3D library from our website. These are usually a little bit higher end items for your sinks, your bar stools, a variety of categories. Manufacturer specific items are branded, and again you can find those from the 3D library. And finally, your user catalog. If you like to save favorites in here, a lot of times for specific fixtures and appliances, I'll save those into a favorites folder, and then it makes it easy for me to find specific items that I use frequently. Maybe they're not branded a specific model, and it's a quick way to access things, and you can create your own user catalog and find those in a quick manner. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, some of your appliances and fixtures are placed either inside of a cabinet or external to the cabinet. I'm going to begin by placing those fixtures and appliances that are external to the cabinets, in this case the refrigerator, the cook range, and the hood, and then we'll move on and place some of those that are internal to the cabinets, such as the microwave and the sink. To begin with, for the refrigerator, let's go up into the core catalog and let's traverse down. I'm going to go into the architectural folder. As you come down to appliances, you'll find refrigerators and standard size. And as you scroll down through the different refrigerator options, you can find a particular model that you're interested in. In this case, I'm going to use a double door refrigerator that's somewhat generic, and I'm just going to come over here and place this in my 3D perspective view. Now you can place these items in a 3D perspective view, an elevation view, or a floor plan view. Depending on what you're trying to do, it may be easier to place them in one view or another. Now since this is a generic item, I'm actually going to resize it to fill the space. You can click on it, resize it. If you double click, you can be very specific about your size, and in this case I'll just make it 84 inches. Now one point about using your fixtures and appliances that I like to use, I'll show you real quickly. I like to use the center command. If I just simply remove a couple of these items and slide this refrigerator over a little bit, if I want to center that exactly over the cabinet that is directly above the refrigerator, what I can do is I can use the center command. You'll find that down here in your toolbar. It's called Center Object, and I'll just come over here and get a visual indicator, and then I can click and center that refrigerator exactly underneath of that space. I'll go ahead and put the side panel partition and the cabinet back in place here. The next appliance that I'm going to place is a range. Let's go up a couple of folders, go into our ranges. I'm going to come into the standalone, and I'm going to find a large range that will fit in the space. And let's try the second or third one down here that's a 1.5. You'll see the preview, which you can rotate around. And I'm just going to come over here and place this right into position. Again, you can place this in your elevation view or your floor plan view. Now the next item is for the cook hood, and I'm going to go down into my personal library and pull out one of my favorite cook hoods that I use all the time. So I'm just going to browse down to my user catalog, and I have a folder that I store one of my hoods in that's one of my favorites. As I open this up, again you see the preview of it. Purposely I'm just going to kind of slide this off to the side, and I'll show you the center tool one more time. Click on the object, use the center tool, click on the cook range, and now I have that exactly centered in the position that I want. Now the next item that is a freestanding fixture will be the pot filler. And what I'm going to do is use the search tool in the library, and I'm going to search for a pot filler which you can identify the particular objects. You can always right-click on these, show in browser, and this will show you where it's located in the folder. This happens to be in one of my personal folders in my user catalog, but you'll find an entire library of those if we go back into the search and we come into the second one in here and we right-click on it. You'll find that there's a series of pot fillers. If you scroll up a little bit, it's underneath the kitchen faucets folder. So I'm just going to grab one of these pot fillers, come over here and click to place it. Notice that it's a little bit difficult to place because it's competing with the appliances that we have. So I may just place that off to the side over here, click on it, press the tab key. I'm going to use the center tool, center it on the cook range, and you may want to take an elevation view so you can be very exact in positioning it where you need that pot filler located. The refrigerator, the cook range, the pot filler, and the hood are all examples of appliances and fixtures placed outside of cabinets. As we move and place fixtures and appliances inside of cabinets, we'll begin with the dishwasher and the sink, and then we'll do our double oven and warming drawer. With dishwashers, they replace the cabinet box. The advantage of that is you automatically get a countertop. When I place the dishwasher, it will remove the box and place the dishwasher in place of the box. Let's scroll up in the library, use our core catalog, and I'm going to come down here into the dishwasher category, and I'm just going to simply select this generic chef series, come over here and click and replace the cabinet box. You can place these as a freestanding item. It's going to give you a message, are you sure you want to do that, because typically it's placed in a cabinet. And you can place these freestanding. You would have to draw your own custom countertop. And also the bounding box is positioned so that the 2D view and the 3D view would be a little bit off. You could adjust that bounding box so that it comes in. And so if you want to be very exact in your kitchen and bath design, you can place those items in a freestanding method. Let's go ahead and remove that. Now the next thing I want to do is place a sink. You can place those with and without fixtures. Let's go ahead and browse into the library down here. So we'll minimize the appliance settings. Let's come down into the fixtures, and if you scroll down you'll find a sinks category where we have kitchen sinks. There are a series of sinks, apron, drop-in, undermount, with and without fixtures. And remember, there's several other sinks that you can choose from in the bonus catalog and then certainly in the manufacturer catalog. I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to choose an undermount sink, and we'll grab one of these undermount sinks with an offset faucet integrated into it. Again, if you click on the particular cabinet, it will insert that right into the cabinet itself. When you do those kinds of operations, if I toggle back over to the floor plan view, you'll notice that it updates the nomenclature. Here's our sink base. Before I did that, it would have been a base cabinet 39. And then next to that is the dishwasher. You can always modify those labels if you want to open up the cabinet and modify the label. Fixtures and appliances can be precisely located in a cabinet. I've opened up one of my sample plans to give you an example of an oversized wine cabinet with a sink in it. I may want to move that more towards the front of the cabinet itself. Let's look at the process. Let me delete this sink and we'll add a new sink in here and we'll position it. First of all, to select that sink, I click on the cabinet. Notice the cabinet is selected. I can press the tab key and get to that sink. Let me browse down into my library where I have this specific sink that I save. And I'm going to click on this LK sink and I'm going to come in here and click on the cabinet itself. That puts the sink back into the position, and notice that it's trying to align that with the rest of the cabinets in the center of this position right here. Again, if you click on the cabinet, press the tab key, you can get access to that object, and then you can move this where you need to get the desired location. A little more precise to do this in your plan view to move those items around inside of your cabinets. For apron sinks, those are placed external to the cabinet. You can either lower the height of the cabinet or create an opening in the cabinet as you see in this image. Please see our other video or support article on more detail in placing apron sinks. As I continue placing a couple more appliances, I want to show you the process of placing the microwave, the double oven, and the warming drawer. I'm going to go back in and begin with the microwave. Let's scroll up and find our manufacturer catalog. And I'm going to look for a Gen Air product for the microwave drawer. Now there are a couple of ways you can insert these microwaves into your cabinet. First of all, make sure the width of your cabinet is appropriate for your appliance if you're using a manufacturer one. And the first way you can do it is just like we did on the sink. You can click on the object, you can come over and click on to the cabinet, and it will insert it into the cabinet box. And that works fine. You have to open up the cabinet and move it around. And let's go ahead and do that. Let's click on the cabinet. You can see as the default it placed our microwave at the bottom of the cabinet. You can click on that face item. It highlights it as face item number 4, and you can move this up and move it right below the separation. And if you need to add a separation below that, you can come in here, click Add New, maybe a blank area of 2 or 3 inches, and you can position that, and then finally maybe change that door style. We'll change that face item to a drawer. Now a couple things that I want to point out in this process. When you're resizing your microwave, make sure that the item height, you use this as the rough item height you get from the spec sheet from that manufacturer. If I were to change this from 19 and 13/16, let's change it down to 5 inches and press the tab key. You can see in the preview the program will allow you to do that. Let's go ahead and put that back. I'm going to put it back to 20 inches. Again, you're going to want to read the spec sheet. The other thing is I always like to make sure that this lock from auto resize is checked so you don't maybe change some other face items and it changes your item height. That way you're not going to order an extra cabinet. Now with our final appliance, let's do our double oven and warming drawer. If we come down into the Genair catalog and we scroll down into their wall ovens and we find a 30-inch wall oven in here. Let's take a look at what happens when I click on the cabinet through this technique. Notice that it removed the blank area at the bottom. It puts it somewhat in the center of the cabinet. If you've already maybe spec'd out your cabinet, you may want to do it in a way that you have more control over it. I'm going to press the undo button and show you my favorite approach that I use. Now you'll notice that my cabinet already has an opening for the double oven and an opening for the warming drawer. Let me double click on the cabinet itself and let's take a look. Notice that in this opening down here, if I click on the face item and you come down into the opening, sometimes I like to create an opening and maybe take an elevation view and run a couple of dimensions. I'll use a CAD line and make sure that my cabinet is exactly sized. Some of the symbols from manufacturers I find can be off slightly, and I want to make sure the cabinet that I'm speccing out is exact. What I'm going to do in this case is change this face item from an opening to an appliance, and you'll find that setting is the first entry in the list for the face item type. Once you've changed the face item, again you can be specific, read the spec sheet on what the item height is. Notice that it's got the lock from auto recess checked, and now all I'm going to do is hit specify and browse out to the catalog and find this specific item. And I'll just browse out again into the Genair catalog. I'll find the 30-inch oven that I'm after, and now you'll notice that it puts it exactly in that space that I want. Let's repeat this process for the warming drawer. Let's come onto the opening face item down here, change it to an appliance. Again, here's the dimensions. Lock from auto resize is checked. Back out into the library, and I'll locate the specific warming drawer that I'm after. Notice in the preview our warming drawer, and then when we close our dialog, you'll see all of these changes inside of inserting that appliance into the cabinet. I like to have more control over it. That way when you're adding multiple appliances into a cabinet, it makes it an easier process. Now a question about how do you get some of the content that I've been using from manufacturers or our bonus catalogs. Under the library menu you can come down here and say get additional content online. That will open up our 3D library. If you're logged in, you'll be able to access all of this content at no cost as long as your SSA is up to date. You can scroll down and find by category, expand these items, and find all of the information that you need to download, again either manufacturer or brand specific. If you go to our website, you'll find the same link underneath our user center for catalog downloads. Well, that completes the video on appliances and fixtures. Remember, you can place your appliances and fixtures either in or out of a cabinet. Make sure if you want to position those fixtures inside of a cabinet, in the example of a sink, you may have to press the tab key primarily in your plan view for more precise control in moving it. when you want to position a microwave or a warming drawer exactly in a cabinet, change the face item to an appliance, browse out to the library, position it, make sure you lock the face. And when you want to download additional content, make sure you browse out to our 3D library where you can find both the generic and branded manufacturer items.